Hi guys, so I only have one eyebrow on and I wanted to do a quick video comparing the old Makeup Geek shadows to the new Makeup Geek shadows, and I wanted to swatch both of them on my eyes to compare them and do a little swatch fest. So I'm going to be comparing shades that I already have from my old collection as well as new shades that are similar to other shades that I currently have. So if that's something that you're interested in, please keep on watching. And let's get started. I have a large Makeup Geek collection. I have a custom-made pumpkin spice palette that only includes vegan shades. And then this is my mix of Makeup Geek shadows besides this one blue that belongs to ColourPop. So the ones up top are repeat shades that I'm going to be comparing. And then I'm also going to compare some of the similar shades. This will actually help, so I will do the new shades on the side with my eyebrow filled in, and I will do the old shades with the side with no eyebrow, and I don't have any kind of primer or anything on my lids. The first shade I'm going to be comparing is the shades Chickadee. So this is the old side, and this is the new one. And you can see that they are the new one's brighter and more intense. Definitely more orangey than yellow. To swatch each of these, I'm going to be using two Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadow brushes. I don't have just a regular shader brush that I have two of the exact same of, so this is the best that I could find. So I'm going to start with the old shade and just pack that on my eyelid. And it's very, very pigmented, but it is a lighter shade, so you do have to go back over it a few times to get it really, really there. Now going in with the new Chickadee. Oh my god. So you can see that on the first application, it fills in most of the spots, almost my whole eyelid. So going into the second round, you could definitely see the difference. This is the old Chickadee, and this is the new Chickadee with no primer. That is how bright and beautiful and intense it is. And you can definitely see that this one's more yellow orange, and this one is just a pure bright orange. And since I have blue eyes, it really makes them pop. It's crazy. Next up is a very, very loved and used shade. My old one is a little bit dirty because of the kickback from other shadows. But the next shade that I want to compare is Whimsical, which if you look at the colorful Matrix palette, this is the very first purple shade. Whimsical in the old pan is kind of lighter, and in the new pan it is straight up purple. And Chickadee was the second shade in the very far right orange palette. So taking new brushes that have been, well, same brushes that have been cleaned up, we are going to put Whimsical on the left side with no eyebrow. And I am applying both of these dry so that you can see really the shine and pigmentation and payoff. So just one application of color. You can see that the left side is shimmery, it's pretty. The right side has so much more pigment and shine. When I turn my eye, you can really see that bright beautifulness. When you apply them wet, it just, so much more pigment and color. So that is the shades Whimsical. I'm filming in front of a window, which is where my makeup desk is, to get the best color payoff. Unfortunately, the clouds keep moving, so I keep getting a lot of sunlight, and then a cloud hits, and then it gets overcast, which is like it is now. So I'm sorry that the light keeps fluctuating. I'm just working with what I got. Next up is in the Spotlight, which if you're looking at the second to the right side row of the new Matrix palette, it is the very first color in the pink palette. This is also the color I used in my rebrand makeup tutorial. So this is in the Spotlight. And I also noticed that the old ones are kind of chunkier. And they remind me of when Jeffree Star shadows get hard pan. I don't know if you can see that, but it's very chunky. Whereas with the new foiled, it's very finely milled. The number one difference I notice in these is the new ones have so much more shine. And the sun's coming back out. So this is in the spotlight. And last but not least is Cocoa Bear, which has now been renamed to Cheetah Bear. So this is the old one and this is the new one. Again, you can see that the new ones are just so much more pigmented. Okay, so that is the old Cocoa Bear, and this is the new one, which is now renamed Cheetah Bear. And this one, I don't really see as much as of a difference, except for this one is just a tiny, tiny bit more darker. And I actually think it's a little bit more red tone than the previous one. But this is definitely a gorgeous shade. It is a most love for me. And one more dupe that I forgot. So this is the old Creme Brulee versus the new Creme Brulee. And you can see the old one is definitely more peach. I wasn't recording, so I had to turn it on. This is Creme Brulee. So the old one versus the new one. They look very, very, very similar on the eyes. So I really don't think they changed this too much. But the new formula is definitely hands down better. Some very crooked swatches to show you. So this is the old Chickadee. This is the new Chickadee. This is the old Whimsical. This is the new Whimsical. And then we have the old in the spotlight versus the new in the spotlight. And old Cocoa Bear versus new Cocoa Bear, which is now renamed Cheetah Bear. So those are the swatches. You can see the old ones are a little bit patchier. And the new ones are more pigmented, more shine. Just all out gorgeous. Next up is Creme Brulee, which I actually didn't know that I had this. So on the top here, I have Creme Brulee. The second shade I have is Buffed, which is an old Makeup Geek shadow. And then I have the new Creme Brulee. So you can see the new one actually is darker than the old one. And the old one is actually a little bit more orangey. I actually think I might prefer the old buffed color, but the new formula definitely. Now I want to compare some new versus old shadows. The first shadow that I really want to compare is this purple shadow called Blushing Beauty. This is a new shadow versus my old Petal Pusher, which is a mauvey purple. This looks lighter, which might actually be closer to Prim and Proper, but I really want to swatch them and see what they look like. So this is the old one, which is Petal Pusher, and this is Prim and Proper. And you can see that blended out, the new one has way more pigment, and it keeps its shape better than the other one. Next up is Aphrodite versus Give Me the Dirt. These are just dark brown or dark browns that just look really similar in the pan, and holy pigment. So they look similar, but you can see Aphrodite has just a little bit more brown, whereas Give Me the Dirt really does have that mauvey purple tone to it. That's enough swatching for my eyes because they're getting irritated because I just filmed 2 looks before this, and then now I just swatched a bunch of eyeshadows on top. So that is my kind of review, I guess, of the new versus old Makeup Geek shadows. Tell me what you think about the old ones versus the new ones. So this is my old collection, which is only 1 Z-pan full. I didn't order a lot of them because when I really started getting into Makeup Geek, I was in college, working 2 jobs, going to school full time, and I just really didn't have the money, trying to pay rent, trying to pay for textbooks, putting myself through college. I just didn't have the money to spend $10 on a foiled eyeshadow. So Makeup Geek kind of got thrown to the back as I started just using everyday things that I already had in my collection. I wasn't really buying makeup in college, and if I was, it was face products or repurchasing things like the tattoo liner that was my favorite. It wasn't really getting into new eyeshadows and new products. So this and this palette are my only old Makeup Geek shadows. And then I now have a 9-pan well that I created. Well, that I ordered and then put together. And then I have both the colorful and the neutral matrix palette. So I have enough Makeup Geek shadows to last me a very long time. And these are just incredible quality. And when you look at the old formula versus the new one, hands down, the new one beats it every time. That doesn't discard your old shadows. They're still great eyeshadows. They're still comparable, but I think rebranding for Marlena was a smart thing. These shadows are now comparable to those Anastasia or Jeffree Star shadows that have been rebranded or reformulated since these. You gotta think Anastasia's formula has changed. Jeffree came out with the Androgyny and Beauty Killer, and then with Blood Sugar was reformulated. So you got to think Marlena started Makeup Geek in like 2011, 2012. Those shadows have been the same formula going up to 2020. So I think a rebrand for her company was absolutely smart. It was head on, and I think it's really what her company needed to grow again, and then have influencers talking about it more. I think it was insanely smart, insanely brilliant on her part, and I'm really glad she did reformulate them and rebrand them to compete with other makeup brands. Tell me what old shadows you have in your collection or what new shadows you picked out. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the old Makeup Geek formula versus the new one, and what do you think about the rebrand? Please leave me a comment down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to, please subscribe to my channel. So for comparison purposes, this is the new Matrix Neutral palette as well as the Matrix Colorful palette so that you can see the placement of the shadows that I talked about.